Okay, so this is my Howard High School tower in Minecraft, and this was a calculus project that we did in the spring of 23, and this was made by Aaliyah of 23. She's off in the world doing great things, headed to Georgia Tech. So I wanted to do an introduction for you today. As I walk to my classroom, the art of coaching effective strategies for school transformation. The summary of Unit 3, which believed helped the coach be more effective. So as I walk to my classroom, I'm going to show you that. My daughter's helping me tonight walk through my classroom. So I got math books in a math teacher's classroom and all kinds of stuff. But let's just get to it. Okay, so I love this quote from Chapter 3. It says, "We do not really see through our eyes or hear through our ears, but through our beliefs." And the other one is, we don't see things the way that they are. We see things the way that we are. So every individual, regardless of age, gender, race, social, economic status, their actions are guided by their beliefs. So our actions in our professional life, in our private life, is driven by our beliefs. So when we coach, our beliefs about the district, about the school, about the collaborative teams that we're supporting, about the individual teachers, our mentees, are driven by our beliefs. So what's going to influence a coach's belief? Well, today we have a skit for you, and it will depict something called the ladder of influence. So as you watch the skit today, pay attention to the different steps of the ladder and look at what influences our beliefs as we coach.
Now look at this here ugly wall. We got all these scratches and holes and the peeling ugly paint, y'all. I think there's something to be done over there, y'all. We done seen this thing. I think it's about time that we get up in here and fix this paint job ourselves.
Welcome to the TSC News Channel. And as you can see, our friend is misguided. So, on his first step, observational data and experiences, he's watching HGTV, Fix Your House. Like the new design of a man cave, he began looking around his rooms and noticed that chipping and dull paint, he decided he needed to have his house repainted. On observational data and experiences, we also know that that's really only the skin deep problems that arise. So when we have to fix problems, we have to go beyond the surface.
Man, I tell you, I've got everything I could select to be able to paint this here wall on my own. I'm gonna grab my paint brushes and my little tray here and fill it up with some paint so that I can get this wall painted.
So, continuing the TSC news, our friend Charles, when he was painting his house, considered the selected data step. Seeing how easy the painters made it look on the TV, he knew he could do it. Get the paint, put it on the roller, and put his roller in the paint and onto the wall. When we're selecting data, we have to be objective. That's what Charles was missing.
Man, I see other people do these wall painting jobs all the time, and I've just thought to myself, you know, I can move a brush. I've got the skills I need to move a brush. I think I could do this just like anybody else could.
Charles, knowing that he is handy around the house, often completing small mechanical and structural tasks, he knew he would be doing something else he could enjoy and accomplish.
Now, if those boys on HGTV can do it, I mean, surely I can do it. You see the Top Pennington and them twin brothers doing paint jobs like this all the time.
Charles, thinking that he's completed other small fixes around the house, thought that he was a painter as well. Little did he know that there was a lot more to painting than what he thought.
At this stage in the inference, Charles had concluded that he could paint his home because he's seen it done several times on his favorite show, and he often fixed things around his home.
Now I tell you, I believe I got everything I need after watching them boys on HGTV. This wall's gonna turn out just fine. Just you wait and see. It's gonna turn out just great.
So, we're almost wrapping up our broadcast, and we need to talk about beliefs, our adopted beliefs. So Charles now believes he's capable, Charles, AKA the painter, believes he is capable of painting his home even though he has no background knowledge of the task. Can you imagine how it's gonna look?
All right, y'all, let's get this paint done. We're gonna come up here with our brushes. I'm gonna do great, I just know it, and oh! I took off to the paint store collecting items to paint and return home with all that paint. And then I realized that painting is much more than putting paint on brushes onto the wall. There's technique, there's development, there's things that I needed to know to be able to paint this wall well. And since I wasn't careful, I wound up hurting myself. And if you're not careful and you don't follow your own inferences the right way, you might hurt somebody else out.
Thanks, Charles. Concluding the story, the ladder of inference is a cognitive process model that describes how people draw conclusions based on their own interpretations of facts and data. It is a way of understanding how people come to their conclusions and how they can be influenced by their own bias and assumptions. The ladder of inference starts with data or facts, then moves up through a series of steps, including selecting data, interpreting data, drawing conclusions, and taking action. Each step in the ladder of inference is based on the individual's own assumptions and beliefs. Thanks for watching the TSC News broadcast. We hope you have a great Friday and a happy summer.
So in the art of coaching, effective strategies for schools transformation, we have Unit 4. And Unit 4 is what must a coach know. So I'm sure the first day of coaching and mentoring is just like the first day of teaching. You're excited and have made all these preparations, but there's still like a little element of, where do I begin? What's the first thing I need to do? So what this unit was about, I hope you get a chance to go back and read it. It's reminding us that every situation that we're involved in through coaching, maybe it's collaboration, maybe it's mentoring, maybe it's coaching, like coaching a principal, coaching assistant principal, coaching a media specialist, coaching an academic coach, coaching yourself, coaching a new department head, or mentoring a new hire, whatever you're doing in the role of coaching and mentoring. I hope that you'll remember that every situation you come upon and every scenario, it's complex. It's not just, for my math people, it's not just one-dimensional. Think of it as 3D, and we have to look at the different layers. So in 3D animation, there are, just like in the graphing in 2-dimension, it's an XY plane. But with 3-dimension, it's X, Y, and we have a new axis called Z. And so it lets us know that it's complex, it's something else is going on. So when you look at the situations you're involved in as a coach, remember there's something going on here, multiple things. And how will I approach setting up my coaching plan? How will I approach considering, okay, what stage is this individual in? Well, one of the tools, and I love having so many tools, one of the tools is something called the 6th lens. And a lens is just a metaphor, and I learned that a metaphor is comparing two things without using the word like or as. So a lens just like when you look through glasses, you're looking through a lens, it's magnifying something. If I use these 6 lenses, it's going to magnify the complex situation I find myself in as a coach or a mentor. Without further ado, we have a little video we're going to play for you. And our video is, it's an ineffective classroom management by Christian Greer. And this classroom is, Charles is the teacher, and he's going to show you what his classroom looks like, and he needs some help from the coaches. And we have 6 lenses we're going to look at his classroom with. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.
What's up, Kiana? What's up? What's up, big mom? What's up, big mom? Good morning, Chico. She just told me, Miss Hudson. She just told me to do that, Miss Hudson. She said it would be funny. See, look, because now she's going to throw it back at me. Look at it. I'm going to do my work. I need to put my leave because I need to do AR. Because you the champ. You the champ. Yeah.
The lens of inquiry. Today in class, I noted the students walking in and not acknowledging you. I love standing at the door when my students walk in. I like to give a high five or a fist bump. I even like to have a quick fun assignment for them to complete. Sometimes this may help them to settle down before they start. What do you think you can do to acknowledge them before they walk in?
Well, I guess I could try meeting them at the threshold, and maybe you can give me some help on some do now activities.
The lens of change management. I noticed today in classroom, the students seem to enjoy walking around the classroom and talking to each other. I would love to try to analyze the underlying reasons they like to walk and talk to each other during learning time. How do you feel about us identifying the root causes of this and developing strategies that will not cause distraction?
I would love some help finding those core behaviors and why they exist in my classroom.
The lens of system thinking. Today in class, I observed the students throwing paper and yelling across the room. I know the school has a school-wide behavior initiative. I would like to identify phases and develop conditions for change with the students' behavior in your classroom. I would love to come before school or stay late to assist you with this. How can we develop a class management plan?
It would be great if we could sit down together before class tomorrow so that we can come up with steps and actions I need to take to get these students back on task and engaged in my class.
The lens of adult learning. Today in class, I noticed when the students walk in, you continue to sit behind your desk. I know that we stayed at school late on yesterday and you were probably tired, but I would like to discuss your classroom management. What are some rules you can create for the students to follow?
I'm not sure what rules I need to create. Maybe you have a tool that can help me come up with a better solution.
The lens of systemic oppression. Today in class, it seemed as if the students were in control of the class and had the power. I have seen you teach the class before and you seem to have had control. I would love to help you come up with ways to let the students know you are in control. How do you think you can gain power of this class when they get out of control?
Right now I'm really feeling burned out. I think if I had some help with my time management skills, maybe I'd be able to stay more on top of the class and the things I need to do to stay in power.
The lens of emotional intelligence. I know you are an intelligent person. You seem to enjoy teaching. I noticed you folding your arms and putting your hands on your hip. I can tell you were upset and frustrated with the class. I have empathy for you and I would like to create ways to help you deal with the stress. Do you think it is time for a change?
I do think it's a time for a change, and I appreciate your willingness to help me with my emotional health.
I am willing to help you to set goals to improve and make positive changes.
Thank you. The way I plan on using chapters 3 and 4 from The Art of Coaching are that for chapter 3, to remember not to make immediate assumptions and encourage the people I mentor not to make immediate assumptions either. It's hard to always have the full picture of what it is you need to do, and sometimes you need to step back and think about the situation before you jump to making a conclusion. The way I plan on using chapter 4 is to look through a situation through the eyes of the students and the teacher in the classroom that I might be observing. You never know what somebody else is going through or what they're living with, or just simply how they're thinking about a situation. It's important to take the time to think about what they're doing and what they're living through before making a decision about what happens next.
The way I'm going to use this is for chapter 3, I'm going to remember to use their background information and their experiences to relate it to our coaching experience so that they can take ownership and kind of be more engaged into it. And for chapter 4, I'm going to just remember that fair doesn't always mean equal. And that just means that different people have different needs and you can't coach everybody the same. So just kind of tailor to what they need to make the best experience.
Chapter 3, which beliefs help a coach to be more effective? I will use this information to be more effective by providing teachers with a sense of purpose and direction. Chapter 4, what must a coach know? I will use this information to ensure that the coaching or mentoring process is effective and that the teacher is able to make the most of their experience.
The way I plan on using The Art of Coaching, chapter 3, the ladder of inference, is to just remember that as somebody reacts to something, that there are beliefs and data that they're looking at in order to come to that conclusion. And sometimes we need to look at those and take that into account as we mentor them. The way I'd use chapter 4, the 6 lenses, just look at everything through all of the lenses, not just one, because there are different aspects to every situation that everybody can learn from.
The Art of Coaching. Chapter 3 is about ladder of inference. How I intend to use this as a coach is to make sure that my bias, assumptions, and beliefs do not interfere with those of the teachers that are of service. In chapter 4, it was about coaching lenses. It was about looking at things from different perspectives. Even though I have my own beliefs, assumptions, I believe that we can get hung up on what we believe is right, knowing that there's more than one way to get to a solution. So I've got to remember and make sure that I'm always thinking about all the possibilities.
In chapter 3, there's this quote that I just loved. It said, "We do not really see through our eyes or hear through our ears, but through our beliefs." And it's on page 33. So how I'm going to use chapter 3 is whether I'm working with mentees or teachers collaborating or administrators as a coach or a mentor, I am going to intentionally set aside my own personal beliefs and use the ladder of inference and open my eyes to the possibility of what's happening and only recommend actions that are based on the data, the totality of the data, not just a little piece. In Unit 4, it was talking about the complex situations that we see. So I was kind of thinking like this. So in Algebra 1, we have the XY plane, that's 2D. But then when you go up to calculus, it's 3D, X, Y, Z. So I'm going to use Unit 4 and look through the different lenses and understand there's a lot going on here. And when I give an action, I want to tie it back to student engagement and make sure I'm looking at all 6 lenses.
With The Art of Coaching, how I intend to use the information gained from this book for the rest of my time as a coach is first in chapter 3, we understand that our brains have limitations based on the things that we see. So we have to gather more information using the ladder of inference. So my plans are to set aside my own personal bias, just like my cohorts, to make sure that I'm providing a unique perspective to providing information to my coaches, but also give them a high quality customer service experience as a coach. In chapter 4, I really must learn to understand that we all don't see things through the same lens. And I have every intention to make sure that I continue to learn about how to integrate the lenses of perspective throughout my time as a coach.
You know, just like those cartoons used to say at the end, well, that's all, folks. Well, that's all, folks. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for spending this time with us. I hope that you enjoyed our TSC news broadcast, our ladder of inferences video, and our 6 lenses skit. I hope somehow something we've said or we've done today has really encouraged you in this training to be a coach or a mentor. I hope that you have the opportunity to work with somebody whose name is on this board right here. This was the best team ever. We easily got along, divided up the work, worked with fidelity. We laughed, we enjoyed being together. Everybody brought something different to the table. We had middle school teachers, we had elementary school teacher, we had a high school teacher. It was really a good experience to be in the number, one of the 7. So thank you. Have a great day.